Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Today we're taking a look at what's happening within the Congress, the famous Congress election that has been dragged on, and hopefully today is the day of the nominations. They finally will have sorted out their candidates. We are told it's Mallikarjun Kharge who is the so-called official candidate, while Shashi Tharoor will be standing. Digvijay Singh will probably withdraw his nomination. And it remains to be seen if G23 puts up a face or not. But at the end of the day, this is what the Congress has really mastered its art at masquerading a selection in the name of an election. They would have got some kudos. It is the democratic process at the end of the day. But the way they've messed it up, they've all got bad flag, bad headlines. In the meanwhile, the BJP has quietly given JP Nadda another term. They didn't even go through the pretense of an election. It's a nomination, straightforward selection by two people. The rest of the party didn't even know what's happening. Akhilesh Yadav has just been so-called elected again. We all know that's another nomination. RLD also, I think Lalu Yadav is taken over. So at the end of the day, all the other parties are going through with this elections and getting more kudos. When Congress should have got the high moral ground, it has lost that moral ground to the BJP despite having an election as opposed to the BJP selection. To discuss this latest self-goal and, of course, what's happening in the BJP also, I have a panel of veteran journalists, former editors, and also a Congress sympathizer. I have Vinod Sharma. He's with the Hindustan Times, Radhika Ramaseshan, columnist and commentator, Neerja Chaudhary, also columnist commentator, and Tehseen Poonawala, a Congress sympathizer. Vinod, you know what's happening best in the Congress. You've seen all these various selections. What is your take on the current situation? Haven't they messed it up?
Yeah, they did mess it up badly. And since yesterday, they are trying to make the most of a bad situation with Ashok Gehlot's public apology to Sonia Gandhi and to the party leadership, having done a bit of a masonry work to repair the damage in terms of the high command's supremacy in decision making in the party. But then this is a double-edged sword. While it establishes the supremacy of the high command in the party hierarchy, it also bears to the bone the pretense of having an election where the high command would be unattached or would be distant or would be proximate, so to speak. And now we have the name of Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge as a potential presidential candidate. I think it's a good choice. Mr. Kharge at age 80 will not be a threat to anyone. He can continue for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, because he's senior. And also his social profile, he's a Dalit, and that too from Karnataka, which is headed for elections. So it has fitted in somehow, not that a great amount of scientific thinking or any amount of homework had gone into it. He is a compromise candidate. And a compromise candidate having the tacit approval of the party high command. So now you would have a Congress president who would be there with the backing of the high command, regardless of what the claims are. I don't see any degree of anachronism in that, because you just now mentioned, Priya, that you had elections of Mr. JP Nadda, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav, and perhaps also Jain Chaudhary. To the party leadership. This is normally the trend in every political party. The Congress party, insofar as electing a leader, has done it earlier, maybe not very appropriately and not very properly to the point, but they are electing a leader. Now, to assume that 3 people who are influential in the Congress will not have a role in that election, I think is a bit of an anachronism. And that pretense should be shunned by the party now. Secondly, the big question is, bigger question than who will be the Congress president is the question as to who would be the chief minister of Rajasthan. That's the biggest question. And Ashok Gehlot has left it to Sonia Gandhi to take a call on that. In my view, he's lobbed the ball into the court of the Congress president, the interim Congress president. And let us see whether she takes the risk of a leadership change in the state so close to elections there, and with the party, the CLP, divided mostly in favor of Ashok Gehlot and against Sachin Pilot.
Rajasthan is a question also we'll refer to, but let me also tell for the benefit of our viewers that as of now, Kharge has not yet been announced, but that's what we are hearing, that it would be Kharge and that Digvijay would. So we are going with the premise that there would be a so-called establishment-backed candidate. Radhika, so why have this election in the whole place? If you were going to come up with as Vinod says, a compromise candidate is also the one who is the least objectionable, all-pleasing, and someone who's not going to stand out too much also. So why have all this drama then, Radhika?
Yeah. Unfortunately, what started off as an exercise with a laudable intent, namely, it was billed as a reform initiative, transparent and a kind of honest kind of exercise, has now been reduced to a travesty. But this was bound to happen. Any election, organizational election, whether it is in the BJP or the Congress, you'll have to start using the broom right from the bottom, because in the case of the Congress, you have 9,000 odd delegates. In the case of the BJP, you would probably have, or because it's a bigger party, more delegates. The problem starts with the level of at the level of the gram, block level, then you have the district. Usually the voter lists are fudged quite badly. And that's where the complaints start pouring in. And the BJP is no exception. If there are organizational elections in the past, there were kind of multiple contenders, at least 2 or 3 contenders to the posts of the district president or the block president and so on. So unless you use the broom right from the bottom, there's no point saying that the election to the post of the president is going to be honest, it's going to be transparent, because the selection of the delegates itself is mired in controversy, in dispute, in doubt. So therefore, you have in the case of the Congress, you have the spectacle of it's been going on and on and on, and what is the election to the post of the president has got conflated with the developments in Rajasthan. As Vinod rightly said, that is the more significant question facing the Congress now. Who is going to replace the Gehlot, if at all, or will Gehlot be allowed to stay on? And that is the reason I think that the whole thing has been reduced to a farce, this election.
But Tasim, has it made the Gandhis look good or bad? Have they come out looking better in this election, or has their wit been really, has Gehlot actually trampled over them? All this saying sorry is very convenient, but he's also not agreeing to their thing and standing for Congress president. He is saying sorry, I'll step down as CM. Not step down as CM, I won't stand as Congress president. So he's not really listening to them, is he?
Yeah.
So Priya, I can't. No, so Priya, first, a lot of things. Let's just clarify a couple of things that, especially what Radhika ji said. There is in the Congress party constitutionally, and this is something that I've studied, a process of an election which is in no other party. So let's appreciate that election process may be flawed. I can give that. That could improve. Democracy must always improve. But at least there's a process of an election in the Congress. In the Bharatiya Janata Party, it's always a band of boys. A woman can never become president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Never. Because the band of boys will always choose men to head the organization. And that's the way it's been. So here you have a process. And now, to quote Radhika ji, she said the list is fudged. The Congress list of 9,000 delegates, not just are these men, women, living flesh and bloods who Priya Sahgal or Vinod ji or Radhika ji can interview, see and verify. They have a QR code. It's impossible to fudge it. Impossible. So when you have 9,000 delegates, you have an election.
How were they chosen? They were chosen by nomination or election? There's a question mark on that also.
No, they were chosen from an election.
Not
they
all.
were chosen. I agree. And therefore I said the process can always be better. But to say that, okay, 9,000 people can be called up, where is the BJP in its Article 14 requires that the so-called nominees or the so-called delegates send a name up to the district, that sends a name up to the state, that sends a name up to the parliamentary board, because in the BJP, the parliamentary board is supreme, and they on consensus decide who becomes the president. Here the decision is taken by 2.5 men that Mr. Nadda should continue. Same decision was taken by Amit Shah ji. So please, there is not even a pretense of a selection in the BJP. Not even a pretense. Here, again, I agree. All 9,000 should be elected. I agree. But there is a process which is very difficult to manipulate. So let's appreciate the Congress for what it is. A. B. I do give in to a certain point Vinod ji said. I think that, and this is my opinion, and you know me, Priya, personally, I'm a very old-fashioned politician. I'm very, very old-fashioned as a politician. I think when you had Bharat Jodo, right? And you guys in the media, because what does the Congress complain about? It says that, look, we get the short end of the stick with the media. You guys in the media were covering the Congress, Bharat Jodo, because Rahul Gandhi is up 6:30 while all other political parties are sleeping. There's crowds, movement. It's a visual story. It's a beautiful visual story. Good locations. You have people coming, crowds coming. It's a great story to cover visually. And suddenly you have this Congress election. You are taking the focus away. In my opinion, it should have been one get over, second. I'm talking as a media analyst. But I vote and I support the Congress. Now that this process is underway, I wish it the best of luck. But I don't think that there is going to be any outsider versus insider as is being alleged. I think it's very difficult to influence 9,000 people as so far as Ashok Gehlot is concerned, because that's your moot question. I think that one mistake that the Congress did make, I will admit to it. I think it could have had better messengers to talk to. Delhi could have sent better messengers to talk to Jaipur. Kharge ji is very senior. I think along with Kharge ji, you could have sent somebody like Kamal Nath ji to speak and handle the situation better. That's my understanding of it. However, I think the MLAs were not being unreasonable. The culture in the Congress is that they would like to directly speak to the High Command. And in the Congress, the MLAs select the Chief Minister, the MPs select the Prime Minister. And I think that tradition has been kept alive. So I think that will happen.
Let me get Nija in also. Kharge is the name, the Nija that's being talked about. But as Tehsim also pointed out, he could not even manage Ashok Gehlot. How will he manage the entire party?
He's a very seasoned. Yeah. Sorry.
You didn't point out, that was my inference of what he said.
No, I didn't say that. I think Kharge ji is very, very capable. I thought along with Kharge ji, Kamal Nath ji. I think Kharge ji is the only capable person. No, that's a wrong
inference. Not Tehsim, that was my inference. Nija.
Okay, Priya. Yes, that was a very surprising thing that observers of the Central Party went to Rajasthan. They did not even have an inkling that something like this was in the offing. Now, if Ahmed Patel had been there, this would not have happened. So yes, it reflects on Mr. Kharge as well as on Ajay Makan, who's the observer in charge of Rajasthan. Secondly, of course, now the situation is clear. Mr. Kharge is obviously going to be the president of the party, backed by the High Command. The confusion that prevailed yesterday, the dust is settling down on that. Shashi Tharoor threw his hat in the ring to make it a contest, and very good that, because he has an appeal to a new constituency, and as he himself has said, then a constituency that's not the traditional constituency of the Congress party. So in that sense, it mobilizes support for the Congress at a wider level, this kind of even though it's, as you say, a very limited context, a fixed context, but there is value to it, I believe. Now, maybe in the future, he will be made the LOP, but that remains to be seen. The High Command, which lost out badly with this whole fracas in Rajasthan, in the last hours has retrieved some of the lost ground. For Ashok Gehlot to apologize publicly, then to opt out of the race, though he didn't want to be in the race in the first place, and it was the High Command that wanted him to be in the race, and he was probably very well suited given his experience of India, experience of Rajasthan, administrative, OBC, and a person of the family's confidence. So he was best suited and a loyalist. But this has botched things up, and in a sense, he's the one who's really lost ground in this round of battle. Who will be the Chief Minister of Rajasthan? From what both of them said, Mr. Pilot and Mr. Gehlot yesterday, Gehlot saying, I will do what the party president says, go by her wishes. And for Sachin Pilot to say after meeting Sonia Gandhi that we will work together to win for the Congress Rajasthan again in 2023. So has the question that arises is this: has some kind of a patch up been worked out, a power sharing formula which satisfies Mr. Pilot, who's been out, promised CMship but not given it, and restive, and also does not humiliate Mr. Gehlot? So and can they work together? That is a different story, given the embittered relations they've had. They will both have to, show magnanimity. But the last hours have seen Mrs. Sonia Gandhi do damage control. And but overall, the Congress is entering a new phase without the Gandhi family formally holding the reins of power. It's going to be a new situation. And the high command really having been weakened, that we have seen. If a loyalist like Mr. Gehlot can cock a sloop at them, then anybody can do that. That is a message, broad message that's gone.
Absolutely right, Neeraj. The last sentence is really hitting the mark. I'm going to take a break and come back and further discuss what happened in the Congress and the road ahead. Hello and welcome back to the Roundtable. We are taking a look at the election process in the Congress and the larger message it sends out. Whoever it will be, it would be a nominee of the Gandhi family. But the Gandhi family will be calling all the shots. They're not going to be just sitting back. It's going to be like what Modi and Shah do in the BJP, right?
It's there, happening everywhere. There is something called de facto and de jure power. The de jure power will be resting with Mr. Kharge in the party, and the de facto power with the Gandhis. De facto power is always the power that overwhelms any de jure nominee. We've seen that happening in BJP even during Vajpayee's and Advani's time. We see that happening in every other political party, bar the left, where the decision-making rests with the Central Committee. So where the General Secretary is elected, but he is largely guided by the opinions of the Central Committee. So the Congress party will have a new president who will be a non-Gandhi, that will to some extent save it from the BJP's barbs of dynasty and all that, though they won't seize the barbs, but they will have an argument to throw back. Insofar as the High Command's position is concerned, let us accept, Priya, that command comes from power. And if you are in power, your command works, your writ runs. Once you cease to be in power, there is an effective dilution of your writ, especially when in the politics of patronage, you have very little to distribute by way of goodies and by way of rewards and other things. And ever since the Congress lost power, there has been a progressive decline in the position of the High Command within the party. Indira Gandhi was never challenged within the party for the simple reason that she could give you the ticket and make you win. That situation does not prevail today in the Congress. So I have always argued that as a major national party, the Congress must start winning elections rather than winning public approval on the social media, or by the media, or by people within the party. Unless they start winning elections, there'd be a problem. Now, today, Rahul Gandhi's Karnataka Yatra begins, and Mr. Kharge will be the candidate. I think it's a happy augury. The party should be focusing more on what's up in store in Karnataka by way of an election. There are two elections which are closer than the elections in Karnataka, which is Himachal and Gujarat. I don't see much of a movement happening there by way of workers on the ground getting activated and the party getting into election mode in Himachal or in Gujarat. Not tangibly, at least. It is not being felt or being received or being seen by people like us sitting in Delhi. Maybe once we go to Gujarat, we'd see activity. But the elections, unless the elections are won, the High Command will continue to have itself going down in popular esteem within the party. And Mrs. Sonia Gandhi's emissaries, the people refusing to meet them. And finally, when they're coming back from Jaipur, one of the emissaries refuses to meet Gehlot. And Gehlot calls on Kharge and apologizes for whatever has happened. Regardless of how sincere is the apology, let's not go into that. Well, can't enter anyone's mind. But the fact that he is a public tendering of apology by a sitting chief minister, I have not seen this happening in the Congress in my living memory. This is the first time I'm seeing it. And you can say that this is another jadoo of the jadugar called Ashok Gehlot. But the fact remains that he has gone before the cameras and apologized to the Congress president and said that he is not going to be contesting the president's election, and also he has left it to the Congress president to take a call on who is going to lead the party in Rajasthan.
Okay, let me get Radhika in also. Radhika, Ashok Gehlot has mitigated somewhat what he did, but is it enough? Is the power of high command, has it looked better after the elections, or has it gone down?
Power of the high command is vastly diluted. I just couldn't comprehend why they embarked on this whole adventurism in Rajasthan, namely to, first of all, offer Ashok Gehlot the post of the president, which he couldn't have refused straight away, albeit he was reluctant. And then installing his bugbear, Sachin Pilot, as the chief minister. So in a sense, you have compounded the situation, which was highly salvageable by, if you chosen somebody like Kharge to start with, this wouldn't have arisen, this situation that the Congress is being confronted with today. Now, when it has been emphasized in this very program that when you don't have your authority and your power derives from how you are placed at the center. As long as the UPA was in power for 10 years, the writ of the Gandhis prevailed even over chief ministers, regional satraps, and so on. Now, you had to draw the residual power that you have from the states, and the Congress is just ruling over two states, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. And Rajasthan being the bigger state, it's one of the consequential states in the Hindi heartland, where the Congress is bereft of any presence now, barring as a junior partner to the RJD and JMM in Jharkhand. So, the Congress leadership should have behaved a little more prudently with Mr. Gehlot. And not even offered the post of the president to him in the first place, because that is where the problem started. The problem started. Right. So then I would say that the high command, or whatever it is, notional high command, doesn't come out smelling of roses through this whole incident. In fact, although of course Sonia has retrieved the situation a bit with the help of Gehlot, let me emphasize, Gehlot has also done his bit to mitigate the situation by offering an apology. But the real crunch comes when, is he willing to step down as the chief minister? That is where the high command will face its big test once again.
But many important points made here. Tehsim, why was the need to have the CLP? Vinod, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think that, Radhika raised this question that whether he's willing to step down as chief minister. He is willing to step down as chief minister. He said it in as many words to the Congress
president. But let's see
whether
he steps down or he...
The big question remains that who would be the substitute, who would be the replacement, and whether the replacement that the high command reportedly wants, whether that replacement will be acceptable to the legislature party. That is a big question.
Has to, quickly, I'll get Tehsim and Nija in also before we go out. Tehsim, so why was the need to provoke this situation by holding that CLP meeting, forcing Gehlot to contest? Easily they could have cut all this short and just gone ahead with Kharge or whichever appointee they wanted, who was willing to stand. Tehsim.
No, I don't think there is an appointee who is willing to stand. I think that anyone who wants to contest an election is free to contest. So I don't give in to or subscribe to that view that the high command wanted ABC to stand. That is, I think, a very unfair view of the high command. But more importantly, let's come to one thing, and I agree that I think that the Congress needs to shut its ears to the surround sound. And I say this with respect, a lot of you in the media that you all make about the Congress, it should surround. There is no doubt in my mind that the Gandhis, for whatever adjectives I'll use, loss of power, etc., are the tallest leaders of the Congress. No doubt about it. At least I vote for the Congress because I vote for the Gandhis, because I know for whatever reason they will not compromise with the RSS BJP. Now, when the Gandhis commanded their lowest 12 crore votes, or majority of those 12 crore votes that the Congress got, I think you must shut your sound to the surround sound of what media or social media tells you, and go ahead and have your tallest leader run the country, because there are two things India needs. A, India loves people who are decision makers and decisive. B, I think we should learn something from our political opponents, particularly the BJP. You all shouted on Ajay Mishra Teni. How much you all shouted? There were police cases on me because I was the first to put out that video of his son running down farmers, mowing them. I had to withdraw it because the video was true. And Ashish, did he resign? Did any BJP minister resign? Did anyone resign? You all shout. BJP doesn't listen to you all. So why does the Congress get affected? You all made
Let's
Ashok
quickly
Chavan
bring
go
Nija
for 2
in.
flats.
Yeah.
Just one thing. Ashok Chavan had to go for 2 flats. A Maharashtra chief minister.
That's
Pawan Bansal went for nothing. For doing his duty, Ashwini Kumar went. Congress needs to shut this surround sound. And I'm saying this to the media. It has to stop getting affected by the media and social media.
Valid points, Tasim. Nija?
Yeah, look, it seemed a very good formula to put Sachin Pilot in Jaipur. He'd been promised this. He's younger. He's the face of the future. He might, whether or not the Congress wins in Jaipur next year, he would have, I think there would have been an increment of seats, a break from anti-incumbency, and bring Mr. Gehlot, more seasoned, to head the organization nationally. And you see, what is needed today is not so to speak a face on behalf of the Congress. What is needed is rebuilding the organization at the ground level and handling the opposition leaders, the state satraps. You need somebody with stature who they will respect, who can pick up the phone and talk to Mamata Banerjee, talk to Lalu Yadav. Therefore, now Mr. Kharge will also possibly be able to do it. But I think Ashok Gehlot, given the confidence he had of the family and experience, huge experience behind him, was a good name. And that's where things went wrong. This defiance, and even the numbers, one word on that, we really don't know the numbers. Has the speaker revealed how many MLAs came and offered to resign or actually resigned? Or is it true that at the CM's house that Sunday there were 35 MLAs and the others didn't show up? So the numbers are, we don't know. And if the High Command says, did they talk individually to MLAs, the observers? No. Ashok Gehlot camp said, and his people said, talk to us in groups. That also is very curious. So actually the number thing, I would put a question mark. How many here, how many there? Possibly Mr. Gehlot has a larger number. But if the High Command says we want so-and-so, a good chunk of the MLAs will turn there because they don't want an election at this stage. They want to win their election next year. So I think it's a little more complex. But I think the formula itself was very good. And Ashok Gehlot, I would say this time, I have high regard for him and his astuteness. Got bogged in probably this, bitterness towards Sachin Pilot that is there rather than political consideration. I may be wrong, but that's my reading of it.
I think you have actually right, because at the end of the day, it all boiled down to that meeting in Rajasthan and the way it was mishandled, the way Ashok Gehlot reacted, why the center did not read the signals properly and forced that meeting. And now actually the real answer to who is in command will be not the nominee of the person or whoever will be the candidate contesting the elections, but as to who becomes the Rajasthan chief minister. If it is Sachin Pilot, that means that the High Command does have some sway over Rajasthan. If it is not, then well, their authority is still a bit diluted. They're letting other state leaders call the shots. So that is the big ticket question to watch. But from now, that's all. Thank you for watching this show. And thank you all for taking part in it. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.